Okay, good evening, everyone. Just want to start by recognizing we are starting a little bit late this evening, largely, we imagine due to the weather. We had not yet reached quorum, so thank you all for your patience. Welcome to our March full board meeting for Manhattan Community Board 4. And again, let me offer great thanks for those who trekked out on this very, very wet Wednesday. I'm Jessica Chait, and I'm pleased to call this meeting to order. Just a reminder for folks, this is a meeting in accordance with our hybrid meeting policy and stated on our website and New York State open meetings law. Full board members are expected to attend this meeting in person unless you have a disability and or an extraordinary circumstance as defined by the New York State open meetings law. This includes disability, illness, unplanned or emergency caregiving responsibilities or other significant unexpected factors, which unfortunately wet weather does not qualify. Excused members are asked to participate virtually, and board members who are joining via Zoom must leave their cameras on, and we thank you all in advance for complying with that. Our policy can be found on our website, and this meeting is being streamed via our YouTube channel, and transcript is being recorded. The meeting will live on for your reference and is accessible to the public. On tonight's agenda, we have reflected many major projects that have the potential to dramatically impact our district, our neighbors, all of you, businesses small and large, and our neighborhoods at large. Tonight, we'll be hearing letters on proposed work pertaining to Hudson River Park Trust, Port Authority, and NYCHA, as well as other important work of our committees. On Port Authority and NYCHA specifically, countless hours have been spent by many committees beyond those who are just presenting here today. And we're spent preparing these letters that are being presented tonight, and countless more hours have been spent in lengthy and often difficult discussions. These are not new topics. In fact, many of you have contributed to these discussions at past board meetings, as well as the public hearings that were held by the city agencies responsible. Nor is tonight the end of these discussions. Both NYCHA and the Port Authority eventually need to go through a ULURP, and I want to remind everyone that we can expect many more conversations to be had. In just a bit, we'll open for a public hearing on both of these topics. After the public hearings, we will hold a public session where members of the public will be given the ability to speak for 2 minutes. If you have not yet signed up to speak, please do so now as the sign-in closes, let's say in 5 minutes at 6:50. Typically for those who come at 6:45, but in light of starting late, we'll do it at 6:50. Because we have such a full agenda tonight and are up against the clock, seeing as we have to actually be out of this room by 9 p.m., I want to raise and revisit a few housekeeping matters. Our bylaws state that board members are expected to treat each other and, other board and committee members, members of the community, representatives of city, state, and federal agencies and elected officials, and all others with respect and courtesy while acting in their capacity as board members. We are also expected to conduct all board affairs with fairness and decorum. Similarly, we request and expect the same of all who attend our meetings as well. We cannot tolerate disruptions or disorderly or disruptive or offensive conduct or comment. We make space for each person to speak during our public session, and disrupting others is unacceptable and directly at odds with our desire and commitment to hear from everyone. We ask that everyone conduct themselves appropriately, or they may be asked to leave. Recognizing the significance of items on our agenda this evening, we're also requesting that everyone who signed up today to speak be succinct and direct in their remarks. This includes our elected officials and their representatives. We kindly ask you limit your remarks this evening. Finally, when it's time for the business section of our meeting, we ask that board members, be as specific as possible when making friendly amendments or explaining their vote, and recognize that the work of committees is to be done in committee. And as mentioned before, we do need to be out of the space by 9 p.m., if not before. And so we appreciate everyone complying with our desire to move quickly. Lastly, on a housekeeping issue, we only have 2 microphones this evening. So if you are signed up to speak, you will need to come up to the podium, and I'll call up our first vice chair who will handle that, and we'll ask that you line up. Here, we're sort of in a awkward position. We recognize that, but we'll do our best to move quickly using the one mic. And similarly, when presenters are presenting on their letters, we are going to have the mic travel back and forth. And just a reminder that folks online, and as importantly for prosperity, the YouTube video only captures what's on the mic. So if you have something to say, we need to get the mic to you, which could cause a delay in our meeting this evening. And so we just ask everyone be cognizant of that, and where you can, look to your neighbor if someone's looking to pass the mic, that you help move this along. With that, we're going to go ahead and start our public hearings and presentations. As I mentioned, we have two on the agenda this evening. One for the Port Authority draft environmental impact statement for Midtown Bus Terminal Replacement Project, and recognizing that this will later be a letter on this matter will be addressed shortly. For that, I'm going to ask JD to conduct the public hearing.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have two speakers on this topic. This is the Port Authority Bus Terminal Replacement. And we have two speakers, somebody called Brian Weber, and then Matt Robinson. Mr. Weber.
Yeah, speakers should come up here, but this was great.
I knew I was going to be on the mic. Consider. Thank you, JD and board. I'll keep it brief. I want to thank the authors of the letter on the DEIS for their brevity in 23 pages. It's an extraordinary amount of work that was done at committee and with members behind the scenes, and it's really greatly appreciated. I just want to state publicly that all of the work being done by this community, and I'm assuming by this community board, is through the lens of the health and well-being of this neighborhood as we undergo this project with the Port Authority and the bus terminal replacement. So what I'm hoping is that over the next 16 years, as we deal with this, we always function from that perspective. What is going to benefit the well-being and health of our community moving forward? I'm not going to go into any specifics on it because I think the board will opine on that. But I really want to commend everyone for their work and keep that health and well-being task in mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Weber. Now we have Mr. Robinson. Matt Robinson, welcome.
Hi, a couple things that I've heard. I mean, I've only seen some pictures of the complex. They talk about it as $10 billion, and I have questions. I've seen some renderings where there are 4 office towers above it. I'm not sure if that's included with the $10 billion, if that's separate, if that's a request for proposal, or if it's included in it. The other,
I'm sorry, Mr. Robinson. Yeah, I believe that's private and that's later.
okay, I'm just saying that was one question. The other question was that is there concerns, not concerns, are you looking at the project in the same way that you looked at Port Authority, Penn Station rather, in terms of the 9th Avenue access? Right now, if you look at Port Authority, 9th Avenue is sort of the back door. It was never the front door. And I think that should be part of your concerns, that 9th Avenue has now evolved to where 9th Avenue is a strong artery where 10 years ago it was not.
Absolutely, Mr. Robinson. In fact, that is one of our major concerns, that 9th Avenue becomes the main street of Hell's Kitchen once again and ties the two, Hell's Kitchen South and the North, together again in a vibrant pedestrian street.
And the last question I have, and again, or comment, is just how are you handling if both buildings are done at the same time, Penn Station and Port Authority at the same time, and the gridlock hell that must happen just by virtue of, massive scale of both projects? Thank you.
Thank you. With that, Madam Chair,
Thank you.
I think we can close this hearing.
Thank you. Jeffrey, if you want to stay there and then we can have the speakers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Good evening, everybody. Whoa, sorry about that. My name is Jeffrey LaFrancois. I'm the co-chair of the Chelsea Land Use Committee, and I'm going to call the names to speak on the draft scope of work for Fulton Elliot Chelsea proposal. There are 4 people signed up to speak. The first person is Jacqueline Laura. I'll have 2 minutes on the microphone, everybody. Thank you.
How you doing? Hi, guys. Our development has been neglected since the de Blasio administration. So it's very frustrating for all these residents that are going through changes at Fulton. I wish that, you guys could come to, you could see that there's nothing deplorable in Fulton houses. It's just a lie. And I don't know, I just feel like they're trying to get rid of all the Latin and Black people. And maybe if we were to go underground, they'll find a reason to get us out of there too. I think this is a really racist and, very greedy that you want to take our homes. Every time a Black or a Latino have something, Christopher Columbus wants to come and take it from us. I mean, this is happening in Puerto Rico. It's happening all over. The homelessness is ridiculous. And I just, come here all the time hoping that maybe, I don't know if some of you want the freaking demolition or you don't, but, right is right and wrong is wrong. And, I think y'all know what's right here. And I just need some of you board members maybe to stand by me and stop allowing this greedy developer take our development where there's no reason. And again, I'm offering you my home. This is turning into a Gotham City, and right now we need a freaking superhero to save us from these people taking our homes. Thank you.
Thanks, Jackie. Up next is Alexa Cruz.
Good evening, everyone. I wrote everything on a piece of paper, but I'm not going to use the paper. Anyway, I want, I'll always say Section 9, no demolition. And I feel that every time I come here, I go through changes because I'm afraid of losing my home. I'm afraid because it doesn't look good, and I don't feel that no one is helping us at all. We don't have money to pay a lawyer. We don't have anything to fall, on. We're financially doing bad. I worked all my life, and I feel that I have the right as an American citizen that my rights as a human and civil rights be respected for me and for all the low incoming people. They give you promises with Section 9 and Section 8, and it's really the same thing with the private developers. I don't even believe in the elected officials. I'm sorry. I apologize to all of you, but I lost my faith. Thank you.
Thanks, Alexa. Up next is Salinas Miranda.
They talk about security and not feeling safe. As a NYCHA resident in Chelsea, I've always felt and been safe. However, I've started to feel unsafe now ever since I began to use my voice and speak up against demolition. We've been passionate and boisterous about this proposal. When we defend ourselves against false accusations or confront HOU workers who get caught taking our flyers down, we're now getting accused of being violent. However, Alexa got threatened and told she might have to watch her back if demolition doesn't happen. I've been approached and harassed on the streets by an Elliot tenant who wants demolition. She was trying to provoke me into hitting her, but I did not. Instead, I went and made a report at the police station. I do not feel safe anymore. This proposal have triggered too much tension, nasty and cunning behavior, ranging from tenants to NYCHA, elected officials, and HOU workers. Security is not accomplishing anything on our campus. They only make their rounds in the lobby of each NYCHA buildings. Alliance Security do not have the authority to remove the homeless. This is all show. They give false impressions of providing protection, and many tenants are now sure this proposal is a done deal. All security does is make reports and submit to Essence. I already knew we were being watched when cameras got installed in and out our buildings around May 2023. Alliance is just an agent for Essence. There's no purpose for them on our campus. I've asked PSA4 if Alliance have been helpful to them. They respond with a smile. Have you seen them? They are kids, wet behind the ears. This proves that our community is not dangerous. All I see, as usual, a sign of desperation. They want our homes under any means. I know that some of you are tired of this and want it to be over with. We are tired also, but we are fighting to stay in our homes. Please do not make hasty decisions. This is your community and you will be affected by this one way or another. The rabbit hole goes deep. Let's be part of
Thank you,
the solution
Salinas.
and stop feeding the beast.
Thank you. And finally, Matt Robinson.
Sorry, Matt. If you'd like to sign up, you can have done so.
Should I speak? Okay. A couple things that I don't know if I've seen in any report. One is about e-bikes and how you guys are going to approach e-bikes in the complex, where I basically think that they should be outlawed because of the batteries and stuff like that, or that there should be the alternate of saying that everyone that resides there should have city bikes. That might alleviate some of the problems. In addition to that, I was wondering if there's a list of the tenants by ages, by building, like how many kids are 5 years old, how many are 80 years old, like if you have an idea of the mix of people. Also, the mix of disabled by buildings, how many people are disabled, how many need ADA compliance, how many do not. The other thing too that I've seen is I've seen the massing diagrams, but I've not seen any floor plans. And I've not seen some floor plans of the existing buildings as well. And there's a compelling argument to actually just fix the old buildings rather than doing the new buildings. I haven't seen also a flow chart which shows what buildings by building 1 is going to be torn down, building 6 is going to be torn down, what the flow chart is by building in terms of the demolition and then in terms of the construction. Thank you.
Jeffrey?
Thank you. Let's see. Up next is Caesar.
A reminder for those who just signed up, everyone has 2 minutes.
Welcome, friends and neighbors. I didn't prepare a new speech, so I just grabbed one I printed 3 months ago. All they've been doing is cheating, lying, changing statistics at every turn. They want our buildings. They're trying to usurp the property. They're destroying the best apartments and buildings and communities for regular New Yorkers, like all of us are. I don't think, there might be a few billionaires in here, but I don't see them. Real cute, the proposed contractor related companies, Essence Development, Housing Opportunities Unlimited, managed to engineer a handful of tenants, many incentivized by the proposed developers, to represent that a handful of tenants represent the 98% majority of intrepid Chait, Elliot, Fulton House residents who will remain occupying their homes while voting and stonewalling the interlopers out of, they're trying to vote us out. Who could blame a malicious developer that would organize a criminal organization in order to try to usurp 4 Manhattan city blocks occupied by citizens? Can anyone say Holocaust, destroying a whole community that's 100 years old? With the proposed destruction of a classic New York City neighborhood, with the intent of destroying the residents and their futures, along with the highest quality apartment homes in the entire New York City area. Human traffic operation, can we say that? We have waiting
seconds.
lists of like 10,000 people at NYCHA. You look at related luxury apartment portfolio.
Thank you, Caesar. If you could wrap
zero
up.
waiting list.
Thank you very much for your comments this evening. We're going to go on to the next
Based
speaker on the list.
Originally, I said, we asked, will any buildings be demolished? This is what they told us in February 12, 21. No, the working group is not recommending any demolition.
Thank you for
That's
your
a
comments.
lie.
Everybody has
That's
2
a
minutes to
lie.
speak tonight, so
That's
we
a
need to move
lie.
on to the speakers list.
Hey, baby.
Thank you, Caesar.
I want to say one thing I want to say in closing.
Caesar, the
When you
public
see
session,
evil,
everybody
first,
gets
you
to,
should use your hands. And if that fails,
and so
then you
these
should
comments
use
are
your
not
tongue.
on the record.
And if that fails, then you should use your heart. So I'm going to use my heart from now on.
Thank you for being here tonight with your 2 minutes. We appreciate your participation.
Thank you.
I want to go to the final speaker on our list, Lydia. Lydia Anton. Andre, sorry.
Thank you.
Oh, it does.
Thank you. I want to thank everybody for their hard work, especially the people on the Land Use Committee. I think your letter was incredibly important. I want to read to you something that Pam Wolf shared with us. We just got off the phone in a meeting with Eric Botcher. And this is from the original contextual Chelsea development plan. And it says that the goals are to provide for orderly growth and change, to provide opportunities for new economically integrated housing, to preserve the existing low-income housing, to prevent significant displacement of residents and businesses, to preserve ethnic and economic diversity, to protect residential areas from commercial intrusion, to preserve the character and visual unity of Chelsea, to preserve the traditional urban forms and scale of the community, and to protect the Chelsea Historic District and other areas of historic character. I submit to you that the 3 scope plans on the paper today do none of these things. They violate every principle, and I ask that you seriously consider that. In addition, they segregate residents by income. They are not transparent. We have not seen the financial data. I was on the phone with Eric Botcher. He said 59% of the residents approved the plan. Why, if 59% of the residents approve the plan, can't we see the survey? Like, that's a great number. Hallelujah. Where is it? I represent residents of the community, okay? We do not feel that our stakeholdership in this
Thank you, Lydia.
project has been acknowledged, and we have a lot to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. That closes the public session on this topic, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Thank you all. We're now going to move to our public session. As we mentioned, sign up for that was made available and closed at 6:50 today. And so I'll turn it over to our first vice chair, Leslie Boghosian Murphy, to lead us in that. Thank you, Leslie.
Thanks, Jessica. I think we have people who signed up here in person. There might be some on Zoom too, right, Jesse? So we're going to go in order because we have 2 sign-up sheets. So the first I have here is Helen from Village Care. Virtual first. I'm sorry. Yeah, virtual first. Do you want me to do the opposite? No. I'll go opposite. All right. And then Judy Fox. Lenny Lemire Munoz. Helen, I think Jesse is bringing you over now. Can you, Jesse tells us you should be over. Can you hear me, Helen? I see Judy. Helen, did she accept? Yeah, Helen, if you can hear me, can you unmute? We think that you're just muted.
Right. Can you hear me?
Oh, now we can. If you're
Okay.
Helen, we can hear you.
I'm Helen. So sorry, I'm having some technical issues over here.
Go ahead. Your 2 minutes starts now.
Great. So I'm from Village Care Assisted Living at 46th and 10th. We're a Medicaid facility. We have several apartments that are available. And I believe this wonderful committee probably knows some people who could use some beautiful housing. They need to have Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security. They need a little bit of help, but we are a very independent facility. It's a social setting. It's quite lovely. I invite anybody and everybody who'd like to see our beautiful facility. We're at the corner of 46th and 10th, just around the block from the Ryan Center Clinic, which you've probably noticed right on 10th. So I just wanted to let the community know, because I think we're the hidden secret in the city of beautiful housing for independent people who have the Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security. So I encourage you to come by, give us a call. And I don't know, am I allowed to leave my phone number here?
Absolutely.
I'm at 646-745-4870. That's my personal cell. I'm happy to speak to anybody and everybody. Like I say, we do have several vacant apartments that are quite lovely. It's a very low rent of $1,388 paid by their Social Security. We don't handle anyone's money. If the Social Security isn't that amount, it's too low, we can reach back to Social Security if the person meets the criteria and get the extra monies. So not to be, detained from saying, oh, I don't have enough money. So please give me a call, come by. As I said, we're a very immaculate clean. Most people come in and think it's a hotel. Our residents are very happy. We can only have 80 residents. So that means we're small, we're intimate. Everyone knows
Thank you,
everybody,
Helen.
and very nice. Thanks for the time.
Thank you. And also our HHHS committee is also here, so they'll hear that as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next we have Judy Fox.
Thank you. Good evening, members of the board. I'm Judy Fox, head of the Avenue School. Thank you for hearing this co-naming request. And in the interest of time, I'm going to read my brief statement. Though not an official Chelsea resident, Richie Henderson spent more waking hours a week in this community than he did in his home in Brooklyn. He was a fixture on the corner of 25th and 10th, greeting all who crossed and escorting them safely. Most of his clients were our students and their caregivers, but many were Chelsea residents or employees who got to know and care for Richie on their ways to and from work. Richie died a hero, trying to de-escalate an altercation on a subway train when he was fatally shot by one of the litigants. This tragedy has brought condolences from state and city elected officials and their offices, including State Senator Brad Holyman-Siegel, Assembly Member Tony Simone, and City Council Member Eric Botcher. Last weekend, the NYPD announced a $10,000 reward for information related to Richie's shooting. Beyond the Avenue School community, Chelsea residents have come forward to express their support for the kind of humanity Richie embodied. 6 business and building owners between 9th and 11th Avenues on 25th Street signed a petition in support of our proposal. These represent literally thousands of Chelsea residents and dozens of businesses. Citizens Coffee of Chelsea wrote a separate letter endorsing this effort. There are letters of condolences from the Elliot Chelsea Houses, the London Terrace Tenants Association, the 500 West Block Association, and the West 400 Block Association, collectively representing thousands more Chelsea residents. Over 1,700 individuals and organizations contributed to the GoFundMe page set up for the family. To date, more than $377,000 has been raised. 48 of those added words to be publicly shared. One wrote that about seeing Richie every morning as she was dropping her kids off at the Guardian Angels school. And even after her son stopped wanting her to go with him, Richie used to say, "Don't worry, Mom, I'll watch over him." She wrote, "He was kind deep down." Another wrote, "Dear family of Richie Henderson, my little grandson." I'm okay.
Thank you. Just so everyone knows and on the board, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Fox, you're talking about the item on your agenda, which is the co-naming of 25th and 10th in honor of the crossing guard, Richard Henderson.
Correct. Thank you for correcting
And
that.
as Jesse told me, I know there's a lot of people who want to sign up to speak on this. We understand, and Jesse, that the letter is in support of this, right? Correct? Is this a transportation letter? In support of this. So if you can keep either your comments brief, or that the transportation has a letter in support that's going to vote, you're certainly allowed to speak, and we would love for you to speak, but just so you know that it's in good hands right now. Thank you so much. Lenny, I see you're there.
Yes.
Can you hear me? Oh,
Yeah,
great.
you hear me?
Your 2 minutes starts now.
Okay, great. Thank you very much to the board for allowing me to speak on behalf of the co-naming of Irwin B. Cohen Street, I guess, for 15th and 9th. My name, as I mentioned, Lenny Lemmer Munyise. My mother and I moved into the Fulton houses back in 1966, when we commonly called them the projects. And so I have a great frame of reference relative to the neighborhood and the transformation that Irwin was able to perform. Back then, basically, as children, we didn't go play anything south of 16th Street for fear of not making it back. And now, obviously, the meatpacking district in Lower Chelsea there are thriving. And from my experience, we owe that all to Irwin Cohen and his vision for those 17 buildings that he saw as basically an opportunity to do something positive with the neighborhood, buildings that were pretty much semi-abandoned. And so I just like to support that. Irwin and I became good friends shortly after he bought the buildings and started his transformation. He was the godfather to my daughter, the Jewish godfather to my daughter. He was a witness at my wedding. He was a mentor to me. I'm now 65 years old. I had a pretty decent career at the New York City Police Department. I was the president of Hispanic National Law Enforcement Association, New York State chapter for 6 years. And Erwin was the chairman of the advisory board. And I went to him often for advice. He always gave me sage advice in a very, very collegial manner, never condescending. Anybody that knew Erwin knows his manner, and he was always trying to help people. He would always say to me, Lenny, we just need to help them. And I think a lot of that had to do with just the way he was, and he tried to pay forward. And so I think that naming that street, if just one child from the Fulton houses looks up at the street someday and says, who is Erwin Cohen? And his mother or father can say to him, well, let's look it up. And they realize who he was and what he meant.
Thank you, Lenny.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Next, I believe we have Lisa Wager, and on deck, Miriam Fisher and Ella Kim. Lisa, can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, we can. Yes, we can. Go ahead. Your 2 minutes starts now.
Hi, I'm Lisa Wager, Director of Government Community Relations at the Fashion Institute of Technology, the SUNY College on West 27th Street with a res hall on 31st Street in the district. I'm here to share a few updates. If you watched the Today Show last month, you saw a week-long series tied to Fashion Month on which 6 recent graduates of FIT's Fashion Design MFA program were featured. Each day, Hoda and Jenna each wore outfits custom designed for them by one of the graduates for the entire show and interviewed the designer of the day about their designs, inspirations, and what FIT meant to them. On the last day, all 6, 2 of them were twins, were on together, and they learned they'll be featured in InStyle magazine's first image maker issue, which will go live in mid-March. They were wildly excited. All the emerging designers said they'd also felt the Today Show impact. Several had orders, all said their online presence was blowing up. They'd all had a lot of media coverage. This is today's first collaboration with any college, of course it was us, on a special project. And these 6 FIT MFA graduates now have a rocket lit under their collections and their careers. Moving from graduate school to what we call adult learners, here's some good news. FIT received a portion of SUNY's transformation funding last year for our adult learner creative workforce of the future programs. The SUNY money supports programming aimed at enhancing economic mobility for non-traditional underemployed adult learners.
Wow, that's really cool. I can't believe you do that.
Glad to hear you like it. Let me finish. I'm wasting my time here. Oohing and awing myself. So it supports economic mobility for non-traditional underemployed adults, and at FIT, we're doing that work with the creative sectors. Last week, we announced 30 full tuition scholarships for spring certificate courses that typically cost between $1,400 and $2,700, full tuition. The certificate courses are in user experience design, user interface design, motion graphics, front-end website development, and predictive analytics for inventory and marketing. And there'll be 30 more full tuition scholarships available for fall, fall creative workforce of the future certificate courses, enabling New Yorkers to upgrade their skills, expand their portfolios, and stay employed in the creative sectors, a critical piece of the New York economy. You can find more information at fitnyc.edu/workforce. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lisa. She's not. Okay, then let's skip to Ella. Ella, can you hear me?
I'm gonna unmute myself. Can you guys hear
yes.
me?
Yes, we can. Your 2 minutes starts now.
Okay. Hi, my name is Ella Kim, and I am a resident of West Chelsea, and my children both attend Avenues World School. And I was just here to advocate for the co-naming of 25th and 10th after Richie Henderson. He has been our crossing guard for 10 years and was just amazing. I mean, I think all the kids were so heartbroken because he was somebody that was just a present smile and guard for them as they walked across that street. And I just remember that he would just be so kind and gentle with the kids, but really firm with these crazy drivers in New York. And so it would just be such a great dedication to have that street named after him. And I think would make our community and our kids So grateful. And so I just thank you so much for the consideration of this request, and want to thank you guys all for the work that you guys do as volunteers representing us for our community. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next, we have Ron Wisniewski. Ron, can you hear me? Mr. Wisniewski, can you hear me? He's over. Oh, I hear you, Ron. There you are. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. Your 2 minutes starts now.
Hi, I'm Ron Wisniewski. I'm a member of the E-Vehicle Safety Alliance and Pedestrians for Bike Safety. Does the Transportation Committee see the irony in their letter urgently requesting more bike lane infrastructure on 10th and 11th Avenues to protect bike riders from cars? Really? It's the bike riders we still urgently need protection from as they continue to disobey traffic laws, putting anyone who walks anywhere in our city in danger of life-changing injuries and even death. We still have no enforcement of existing laws, and so the free-for-all continues, with more and more pedestrians becoming victims of crashes. Why won't our elected officials and community boards insist on enforcement? Because they all seem to do what the lobbying group Transportation Alternatives instructs them to do. The Manhattan Borough president is all in. He preaches the no cars in NYC Transalt mantra, even though he gets around town in a chauffeur-driven SUV. Do as I say, not as I do, the Catholic priest used to say. We need a moratorium on building more of these badly designed bike lanes until the bike riders are forced to obey the law. Find them, confiscate their bikes if they won't pay, and take them to my favorite place in town, Hunts Point. That's where they keep the steamrollers. My dad was a cement contractor who did excellent, precise work. If he could see our streets right now, I know what he would say. Hey, who built those bike lanes for you? Shoemakers? Listen, I urge you all to vote no on this letter. And Jesse, I sent Jesse 2 videos that the E-Vehicle Safety Alliance, 2 of our members who are victims of bike crashes, tell their stories. I hope Jesse received that this morning. Thank you all.
Right on time. Thank you so much, Ron. Next, Bobby from Chelsea Rec Center. Can you hear me? I think I see you. Yeah, there you are, Bobby. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to talk a little bit, some updates about the center and some upcoming events. At the moment, we currently have an active membership of 11,339 members with an average daily attendance of about 500 members coming in the doors a day. This past Saturday, we celebrated National Girls in Fitness and Sports Day by hosting our She's on Point event. We had about 210 attendees coming to participate in fitness, water activities, arts and crafts, and a bunch of other activities in the pool and the basketball court as well, including volleyball, softball, and baseball. A few upcoming events. We're in the middle of a creative careers residency program where young adults and teens ages 16 to 24 can come and learn, be creative in design and career in theater. So over the course of 5 sessions and then 3 more sessions remaining, they can learn about the process of creating a musical revival while exploring a variety of arts careers that contribute to production, including dramatology, costume design, music direction, scenic design, choreography, and more. So we have 3 more sessions remaining this Friday, the following after that, and March 23rd. And finally, at the end of this month, on Saturday, March 30th, from 5:30 to 8, from 5:30 to 8, we're going to be hosting a youth table tennis tournament. Anyone under the age of 18 can call us, sign up to participate in a tournament. Little fun activity for those kids at that ages. So that's all I have for this evening, and thank you again for your time. See you next month.
Thank you, Bobby. Next, we have Roberta Gelb, and on deck is Michael Harachi. Roberta, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. So I'm Roberta Gelb. I'm the president of the Chelsea Reform Democratic Club. I'm going to try to keep this to 2 minutes. I have submitted this resolution in its entirety to Jesse, and Bert also has a copy. So about the survey that was conducted regarding NYCHA, they omitted any mention of demolition. And so it has also not been made public. It was inadequate, too informal, and should not be misconstrued as a formal vote. So as the project moves forward, in order to dispose of public housing properties, tenants would fall under Section 8 and no longer under Section 9, which would diminish tenants' rights and protections. We in the resolution express grave concerns that the increased residential density might have a negative effect on Chelsea and lead to further displacement within the community. We resolve that we urge you for a thorough reevaluation of this proposed campus project, emphasizing the need for comprehensive and inclusive community input. And we would like a careful examination of the survey methodology and would advocate for alternative solutions. Lastly, we urge HUD, NYCHA, and HPD to consider a no demolition alternative where public housing properties stay under federal ownership and tenants remain under the statute of Section 9, and other financial methods are utilized to rehabilitate Fulton and Chelsea Elliot houses. Thank you.
See you. Do you hear me? Michael, do you hear me?
Yes, I do.
Oh, great. Your 2 minutes starts now.
Botcher, Brewer, Levine, Nadler, Hoylman, Seagal, Adams, Hochul are guilty and complicit in the Palestinian Holocaust, genocide enablers, foreign agents, genocidal thugs, and cowards. Everything the Israeli occupation says is a lie, Mossad propaganda. Every accusation is a confession. How many times will the deadly U.S. empire veto a peace resolution at the UN? Men, women, and children raped, tortured, and indefinitely detained by the occupation. 150 days and upwards of 200,000 innocent civilians slaughtered indiscriminately. You do not work for the weapons manufacturers, Northrop Grumman, Lockheed Martin, or Boeing. You do not work for the military-industrial complex. You do not work for the Israeli occupation. You are civil servants for Americans, for New Yorkers. How many Americans has the occupation killed? As we sit here, the Palestinian Holocaust continues. White phosphorus melts the flesh of Palestinian folks as women, children, and men are blown to pieces, shredded to bits, and their children scrape the flesh and bits of bone into plastic bags. As women give birth on the ruins of their homes and in their communities, Palestinians with disabilities wither away in destroyed hospitals and are forced to survive on animal feed in a painful attempt to survive another day. You are not serious about long-term peace, safety, and security any more than the occupation is. October 7th was an inside job, and they'll kill their own just as they are eroding our democracy too. We are next. Boycott the Israeli occupation, divest and sanction all war criminals. The empire too must fall. There is no peace without justice. Free Palestine, free Yemen, free Puerto Rico, free Assange, free Snowden, restore UNRWA funding, stop weapon sales to Israel and the Nazi occupation.
Thank you, Michael. Just a reminder, we are a local community board covering Hell's Kitchen and Chelsea. We have Rita. Next, Rita, can you hear me?
Yes.
Rita and her
hello.
family, I think, are here.
Yes. Hi. Hello.
Rita, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you. Good evening to the Manhattan Community Board 4. Thank you for a few minutes of your time. My name is Rita Trong. Lavender, age 10, Lemon, age 7, and I are speaking tonight in enthusiastic support of co-naming West 25th Street and 10th Avenue in honor and memory of Mr. Richard Henderson. Our family lived in the West Chelsea neighborhood from 2016 through 2018. We are also longtime community members where I have worked at Avenues for 12 years and where Lavender and Lemon have gone to school for 8 years and 4 years respectively. For as long as our memory can reach back, Mr. Rich has been a presence in the Chelsea neighborhood and community. There was never a day that Mr. Rich was not on the sidewalks helping everyone in sight, in the middle of the intersections guiding traffic to keep all pedestrians safe, at the Highline Park interacting with all that walked by, or at the local Chelsea turf field and playgrounds letting children try on his fluorescent vest with a smile. There was not one person in the Chelsea neighborhood that did not feel Mr. Rich's positive impact, for he exuded care, friendly warmth, and community love in all that he did. He loved everyone, and everyone loved him back.
When Mr. Rich left us all we could think about was how important he was to everyone in our community and how much of a hole he has left behind.
Once again, we speak in enthusiastic support of co-naming West 25th Street and 10th Avenue in Richard Henderson's memory. Thank you.
Guys, the reason we're just
All right,
waiting.
so- Do the people online still hear me?
Yes, but it's faint.
Yeah, I understand. So we're turning on the ceiling mics. So that means everybody is hot right now, okay? So if you don't want something to be heard on YouTube for the rest of the days, don't say, let the folks that are supposed to be speaking speak, okay? There we go.
Nicholas, can you hear me? I see you're on Zoom. Nicholas, can you hear me? You can, great. You're on mute, but you're 2 minutes.
Yes.
Now, thank you.
Sorry, it's very faint. Was it Nicholas? Was it for me?
Yes, you're right, Nicholas. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay. Thank you for having me. My name is Nicholas Lorette. My wife and I live on 23rd Street with our 4 children. I'm speaking about the co-naming application for Rich Henderson. I spoke in front of the committee 2 weeks ago, so I'll keep this very short. To me, you're the community board, and Rich Henderson is the definition of community. Year after year, day after day, Rich connected with every person who crossed this corner, be they students, parents, residents, or workers in the area. Outside of a handful of civic leaders like yourself, Rich likely knew the most names and details about the lives of anyone who lived in Chelsea, which is obviously quite remarkable for someone in his role as a crossing guard. The intersection of 25th and 10th was Rich's corner, and hundreds, if not thousands, of community members, not just Avenue students, remember Rich every time they walk by that corner. Rich was an everyday person who made everyone feel like family and embodied the definition of community. I think it's important to memorialize what he meant to so many with something that everyone in their community can see. All right, thank you. And thank you for everything you guys do. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicholas. Oh, we got a working mic. It works, Jesse. Thank you. Next, Miguel Acevedo. I see Miguel. Can you hear me, Miguel?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. Good evening, board members. First, everybody probably thinks I'm here to talk about the redevelopment at Fulton houses. One thing that I will say about it is Community Board 4 has done its best to make sure the community is getting involved and giving all the information that needs to be needed. Now, what I'm here to speak about is 2 other agenda items. The first one is a cannabis on 146 10th Avenue. I have been one that has not wanted to support any cannabis coming to the community because of the worry of the children getting access to cannabis. But after listening to this vendor who wants to put one on 10th Avenue and 19th Street, was literally a half a block from Fulton houses. And I even visited the East Village location that they have, and it's the perfect place to put it. And she's willing to work with the community. Many others that have come to the cannabis committee know no knowledge of cannabis. This individual was very knowledgeable and gave a lot of information. Now I also want to speak about the co-naming of the 2 streets. First, I want to talk about Irving Cohen. Irving Cohen did so much for Fulton houses. As soon as he opened Chelsea Market, the first thing he did was reach out to former President Jimmy Pelsi to see what he can do for the residents of Fulton houses. The first thing he did was donate hundreds of turkeys for the residents of Fulton houses. Today, the community gets over 2,000 turkeys because of what Irving Cohen started. Irving Cohen supported Family Day. Whatever we needed, he made sure we had it. Irving Cohen every summer hired 10 to 20 youth from Fulton houses to work at Chelsea Market. So I wholeheartedly support Owen Coleman renaming the street. And now talking about Richie Henderson, many people see a crossing guard, a person with a yellow vest. Richie Henderson was family to those families that went to Avenue and to kids that went to Elliot Chelsea. So I wholeheartedly support the renaming of 25th Street of 10th Avenue also. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Miguel, as a model, you got like 5 items in 2 minutes. Thank you. No, Ray. Ray, can you hear me?
I sure can. I'm going to speak about the 525 9th Ave Cabinet stores. So maybe I will just defer until that comes up for discussion.
No, so this is the public session. Once we get into board business, and there's no more public speakers. So this is your time.
Got it. Go. First of all, my name is Ray Shirazi. I'm a 44th Street block resident for over 10 years. Raised children in the area. First of all, I wanted to really thank CB4 for their time and effort in addressing a lot of community efforts. On the cannabis stores, though, we are in favor of a properly regulated cannabis market that's administered appropriately. We've seen the results of what's going on right now with the illegal operations, violence, shooting, robberies in front of stores on 9th Avenue. Safety and testing of products that are questionable, sales to minor, and general urban blight. I think that CB4 should deny the application 525 and allow leave to reapply after the illegal shops are shut down. We know that OCM is incapable right now of administering any sort of orderly market, as evidenced by Hochul herself, which called the operation a disaster. So my suggestion to CB4 would say something to the effect of measure the 1,000 feet minimum spacing requirement, which is designed to prevent urban blight of cannabis stores, by reference to illegal stores as well as legal stores, because just walking the block, there's 3 or 4 of them within 1,000-foot radius of the current proposed location. So again, my recommendation would be to deny based on the 1,000-foot spacing requirement and run the spacing requirement from illegal operations. Given that OCM is incapable of shutting illegal operations down, the general purpose of urban blight would be greatly improved.
Thank you, Ray. Siren or Kieran, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. Willis, can you hear me? And then next is Bruno on deck.
Hello, can you see me?
We can't see you, but I could, oh.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I see you and hear you. Go ahead, your 2 minutes starts now.
Sure, how are you? Thank you very much. So I am involved with the application for the SLA on 506 9th Avenue. And I just have met with the community business and licensing committee already. That went well. And they have also informed me that all of the concessions that they asked me to work with them on, I have agreed to. And they informed me there was one issue pertaining to ventilation of the building in question that tenant raised with them post meeting after they voted in favor of our application. And I just want to say that this particular issue is out of my control on the landlord's ventilation of the building. And they I've contacted the landlord with regard to the issue, and he hasn't gotten back to me yet with regards to that.
Thank you so Thank you so much. Can you hear me, Mr. Wills? Maybe it's faint, but can you hear me?
Just about here.
Okay.
It's working for us. I mean, for me.
Hello. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Willis. Bruno, can you hear me? And then on deck is Susan and then Gordon Stanley. Bruno's not there. He was there. Yeah, Susan, can you hear me? Susan? No? Gordon? Gordon Stanley, can you hear me?
Can you guys, okay, there you go.
Oh,
Sorry about
there
that.
you are, Bruno. Go ahead. Your 2 minutes starts now. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry about the technical difficulties. Yeah, so just to summarize, we appeared at the committee meeting. Everything went really, really smooth. My client made several concessions, hours. It's a small space. He hails from originally from Ireland. He wants to make this a really traditional Irish sports bar. Everything, I mean, it was one of those meetings that went very, very well. And then, a day or two later, we get contacted by the committee saying that I guess someone didn't realize that we were on and didn't join the meeting when we were on. But they were in support of what we wanted. And it was just this one issue with the ventilation. And it's really, in my view, this isn't a liquor license issue. It's a DOB, building issue more than anything else. If the ventilation system that goes all the way up to the roof or has to go to the roof, if there's a problem with that, it's something that needs to be taken up with the landlord and with the building. This place has been licensed several times before my client. So it's not that the liquor authority hasn't approved the license at this location. Public convenience and advantage was shown, and it will be shown at a 500-foot hearing. The one issue with respect to the ventilation is really a landlord issue and shouldn't have a negative effect on my client's application. We've done everything that the committee asked in terms of stipulations, and I think that should be, what prevails here. If there's a problem with the landlord, then the tenant needs to deal with it through the Department of Buildings or, police department or whoever, but certainly shouldn't be taken out of my client.
Thank you very much, Bruno.
Thank you. Appreciate the time.
Gordon, Susan's not there.
Hello?
Okay, yeah. So our last person online we have is Gordon. Gordon, can you hear me? Oh, I see you, Gordon. Go ahead. Your 2 minutes starts now.
Okay. I'd just like to speak in support of what Ray Shirazi said, and for the West 44th Street Better Block Association, of which I am one of the officers. And we are very much opposed to licensing this new cannabis shop because they have been operating illegally for some time now. And we don't think that should be rewarded. We think that the cannabis shops that have gone through the process properly should be the ones to be allowed to to assume this privilege. And I think his suggestion also of counting the number of illegal shops as well as the legal shops in terms of determining where they should be allowed to be located and how the concentration should be looked at is one that's worthy of suggestion, of support rather. Thank you very much.
One more. Thank you very much, Gordon. Yeah. Okay. It's all you, Robert.
Hi, everyone. I'm Robert Atterbury with the Hudson River Park Trust. First, I'm going to give you a big Hudson River Park welcome to the park. This is Pier 57 as part of our facility, and we're thrilled to be able to have you here. Our last update was from Noreen in December, and we mentioned to everyone that Pier 97 would be having limited public access while we finish construction on some of the upland pieces and some of the Belvedere. That is ongoing, but if you go up to Pier 97 now, you can certainly go explore the entire south side, the far western end. You can really see a lot of the pier coming along and get to see a little preview of what it will look like when it's done. And I encourage you all to go explore. Public access is a key part of our mission, and we are thrilled to be able to help expand it where we can. I want to invite everyone tomorrow night, just down the hall at our Discovery Tank. We'll have the Story Collider, which is one of our winter programs in this new facility where we're able to run them. We're learning about unexpected lessons in science, mistakes, bumps, and lumps, and from a series of folks involved in scientists for it. Funny and entertaining stories from it. I also want to make sure folks are aware, and I'll send a flyer over for you to share. This year, we are moving our Submerged Marine Science Festival. This is our STEAM festival that we've taken place every fall for several years, up to May. We have moved it from the beginning of the school year, where it was sometimes a little bit difficult to get some of our field trips in, to, frankly, peak field trip season. So our slots are already filling up. It's going to be May 17th for field trips, Friday, May 17th, and the open to the public on Saturday, May 18th. Last year, we had 1,000 kids signed up, although we were smoked out, I believe, for the first time. A smoke and rained out. It was a flooding day. So we're hopeful to be able to do it again this year. I think we already have 37 exhibitors together. It's going to be a great time. And finally, I won't take about any more time. I just want to give a big appreciation to the WPE committee who are hosting us. We've gone to 2 meetings now to talk about Pier 76, as well as the folks from the community board who participated in our task force on Pier 76 last year. We really appreciate your thoughtful engagement and look forward to working with you guys extensively as things continue to develop. Thank you.
Thanks, Robert. And that letter is also up tonight for vote. We do have one more person online, I think. Teresa, can you hear me? Teresa? Oh, you can. Great. Your 2 minutes starts now.
Yes, thank you very much. My name is Teresa Fiore, and I am a resident of 347 on West 39th. And I'm here to address an issue that has been addressed already by Ray and Gordon. In particular, I want to speak as a mother and as a parent in a building that has many families. Our area is commercial, but is also residential. We often forget about that. And I am in support of the letter that has been produced by the committee in order not to support the issuance of a permit for a licensed store. I'm basing this on the fact that it's close to a church with daycare services. I say this also because there are an illegal cannabis store next door and one right across the street. Besides the saturation with the consumption and sale of weed and cannabis products, we're also struggling tremendously with the presence of heavier drugs. It is a narcotics crisis that is enhanced by the presence of illegal stores. And even though the OCM is not including the illegal stores on their map, these illegal stores are in our lives. And we definitely demand that they are shuttered before we can allow for legal businesses to come into the area. They have very little chances to succeed, given that the competition is very tough and high with activities, commercial activities that don't pay taxes. So the store would most likely be a failure and contribute to the already terrible condition.
Teresa, you have to
our
finish your statement.
Thank you very much, Teresa. So now we're moving to the people who are here. Let's see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people. John Cutter, is John still here? And then if Jonathan wants to come up also, and Al Kirkland, why don't you kind of line up, then we can go one by one. John?
Thank you. Thank you for giving us this opportunity tonight. My name is John Cutter. I don't live in Community Board 4, but I've spent 45 years in the city. I spent 25 years in the NYPD as a deputy chief, and I've spent the last 20 years working within the confines of New York City. I'm here to speak about Erwin Cohen and co-naming 15th Street for him. I can't encapsulate it in 2 minutes for you, what that man has done, not only for this community, the city as a whole, and really the country. He is one of the most patriotic, honest, hardworking, lover of life individuals that anyone has ever met. If you met Erwin, you would fall in love with him. What they said from Fulton houses about him delivering turkeys and hiring kids from there and all of that, that was his life every day. I could go on and on. At 9/11, He gave us office space when our offices were destroyed downtown. He just gave it to us on a handshake and said, move your operation in here to make this city safe. I know it's tough to understand, but I think both people who are up for co-naming of streets are well-deserved, and they come from very different backgrounds and different perspectives. But I think both of them have served this community tremendously, and they both deserve to have the streets co-named. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, go for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. My name is Jonathan Zuckerbrod. I too am here in support of the street co-naming for Erwin Cohen. I am one of his 17 grandkids and father to one of his 15 great-grandkids as of 10 days ago. I am here with the full support of the County of Chelsea Block Associations, the West 16th Street Block Association, the Village Preservation Society, Friends of the High Line, 200 signatories of support on our community petition, 15 letters of support from individuals and organizations, including John Cutter, who you just heard from, and most importantly, the Transportation Committee of Community Board 4. And I just wanted to say, 2 weeks ago when we presented to the Transportation Committee, they made it very clear to me how rare it is to get even to this stage. And then the bar with which this community board has set to actually go through with the street co-naming. I wanted to tell you how much I appreciate that. And I can promise you with my whole heart and every piece of my being that if we name this street after Erwin Cohen, you can add another requirement to this application process. He demonstrated an unbelievable, extraordinary character. And I think that he did that every day. And as Lenny said, as John just said, if there's one kid who can look up at that sign, look up Mr. Cohen, and understand the character that he exuded, I think it would pay back immensely. So thank you so much for thinking of this.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming too. That's yours. Yes. Al? Yes. And on deck, we have just three more. If you want to come up now, Cindy, Brian Weber, and Cheryl Efron.
Thank you very much, Board Forum. My name is Al Kurland, and I'm a committee member of a grassroots group called Vote 16, New York City, New York State. And I'm speaking tonight first and foremost to thank the ACES committee who met and listened to my presentation a few weeks ago and voted in support of the measure, and also drafted a letter of support that they're going to propose for you to vote on tonight. A very brilliant letter. I actually learned from the letter. All the research I've done, you've researched beyond me. By providing this letter of support, you'll be joining people on the national level, such as Nancy Pelosi and 125 House Democrats that supported on a federal level, Brad Hoylman Siegel and Robert C. Carroll, who have introduced legislation to the state legislature, and council people Sean Abreu and Gail Brewer, who have introduced resolutions of support. So please pass this resolution tonight. You will be joining other Manhattan boards, such as Board 7, 11, and 12 in Manhattan that have already done so. And again, just one more time, thank you to the ACES committee, who did such a commendable job in helping to support this effort. Have a good night.
Thank you. What do we have next? Cindy?
Hi, I'm Cindy Zuckerbrod, and I am also speaking in support of the co-naming of 15th Street and 9th Avenue for my father, Erwin B. Cohen, the developer of Chelsea Market. Sadly, my dad passed away this past December. I know how much this community meant to him and how much he meant to this community. So many whose lives have been touched by him would be honored if 15th Street and 9th Avenue would be co-named in his memory. So thank you all for your time and your consideration.
Thank you so much. Cheryl?
Yes.
Oh,
Thank you. I'm Cheryl Efron, and I am the third daughter of the three of Erwin Cohen. And I was also his business partner in the development of Chelsea Market. And in addition to thanking the Transportation Committee and all of you who are listening to this request for the co-naming, I wanted you to understand that Chelsea Market was developed for this neighborhood. The very first thing that my father insisted we do as soon as we were able to work on these buildings was to put in high intensity light outside so that people could actually transverse around the 17 buildings before we broke through in the center of it, and that they would be safe in the neighborhood. We also brought together manufacturers who were in the neighborhood already of food production and aggregated them so that they could be in Chelsea Market, where the buyers for restaurants and high-end hotels would be able to come for sort of one-stop shopping, which absolutely increased the viability of their businesses. But more than that, he insisted that all of those businesses sell it close to the same wholesale price to every resident that was in Chelsea and was able to walk from all the surrounding neighborhoods. This was a project that was for people in this community, and he felt as strongly as he did about the people he didn't know as those that he had a chance to know. And I thank you for the consideration. This means a lot to us, and I think he'd be very proud that you were considering this. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you for coming. Last is Brian Weber, and I think actually Christine, did you want to speak in the public session? Okay, Brian, come on.
Thank you, Leslie. My name is Brian Weber. I am a public member of Community Board 4 and the co-chair of the West 36th Street Block Association. I'm not related to Mr. Cohen, but you sound like you have a wonderful family, and I wish I was. I'm actually here to speak about two items, item 14 and item 20. Item 20 is considered new business. Item 14 is a letter regarding a cannabis license, which the board rejected at 423 9th Avenue. I support that. I asked that the board include language indicating that at 423 currently, there are two unlicensed cannabis dispensaries where there is regular retail and consumption on that site. I also want to speak in support of item 20, which is new business, where the Cannabis Task Force recommends denial of the application at 525 9th Avenue. I do want to point out that 525 9th Avenue is 328 feet from a location that was approved for cannabis retail by the task force in January on 40th and 9th Avenue. It is also in immediate proximity to Metro Baptist Church, and it is situated between two unlicensed dispensaries. So again, I urge the board to vote in favor of this recommendation of denial at these two locations. And I also ask that the board always urge that OCM enforce and shutter unlicensed cannabis retail within our neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. And we'll end it off with Christine.
Hello? Yes. Okay. So recently, a New York Times article caught my attention. It was an analysis of the NYPD crime statistics since April 2022, and which showed that as the migrant numbers have increased, the overall crime rate has stayed flat. And in fact, many major categories of crime, including rape, murder, and shootings, have decreased. And this holds true for Hell's Kitchen, where we had -6% in the last year. According to the Times, in 2023, researchers at Stanford University found that immigrants were in prison at lower rates than people born in the US. And in 2020, a Princeton University study noted that undocumented immigrants in Texas tended to have fewer felony arrests than legal residents. Mrs. Archila, a co-director of the Working Family Party, is quoted as saying, "You look at the history of immigration and you see very clearly that waves of migration are accompanied by diminishing rates of crime. She says it's also true that waves of migration have been received with racist and xenophobic rhetoric. Last month, Los Deliveristas Unidos withdrew their application for bike parking after being confronted with a collective hysteria against migrants and their bikes. A board member referred to them as a blight. I was saddened and appalled. I urge CB4 to condemn such characterization and welcome hardworking migrants who deliver to our residents using bikes. Thank you. I'm sorry. Yes, Christine Berthe. Representing Christine Berthe as an individual.
Thank you. Oh, sorry. Thank you, Christine. Thank you. That wraps the public session. Over to Jeff.
Thank you. Sorry. Oh, we're so tight. Okay, sorry, we are very, very tight on time. You all have a copy of the agenda, excuse me, and I'll note that we have one new business item regarding a cannabis license, which Dolores will expound upon when we get to that item. Can I get a motion to adopt the agenda? Thank you. Second. Over there, Maria, thank you. All in favor? Any opposed? Opposed, not eligible. Thank you. And due to the important nature of the letters we will be discussing this evening, we're going to make two changes. And I know these might be unwelcome, so please bear with us. But one is that we are going to move all the elected updates to the end of our meeting. And again, I apologize for that, but we have really meaty topics here. I guess not everyone's opposed to that. And secondly, we are going to move up items 18 and 19 to the beginning. They won't change on your vote sheets. The agenda stays the same, but the discussion is going to go first so that we can make sure that we get to all of the important discussion among the board. Before we do that, I want to thank Katie Stokes and Alice Wang for the minutes. Can we get a motion to adopt the minutes? Thank you, Dolores. Second, thank you. Christine, all in favor? Thank you all. Any opposed? Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so moving along, that takes us to our district manager's report, followed by my report. And again, we're going to be really brief in an effort to get to the meat of the meeting.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jesse Bodine, the district manager for Community Board 4. Sorry. So, where's my notes? I forgot my note. There you are. So just as everybody knows, MCB4 hybrid meeting policy remains in effect, and I appreciate all members who are filling out the remote access form when needed. March committee schedule, all committees, all standing committees are meeting on their regular scheduled dates and times. Hallelujah. And then we have an addition, which I think Jessica will go into later on, so I'll leave that to her. And that's it. Okay.
Thank you, Jesse. And thank you to Jesse for coordinating all these these hybrid meeting spaces and mic issues, et cetera. Just a brief update from me. The Port Authority Working Group continues to meet, and really just grateful given the critical nature of where we are in that process to all of you. The Chelsea NYCHA Working Group, which is the co-chairs of the two relevant committees, attended a meeting held by Councilmember Botcher and other electeds, representatives, as well as the Chelsea NYCHA development team. The goal of this meeting was to get more information that we have been asking for and demanding for a while, and we look forward to continuing to meet and update you all on that progress. Additionally, as I mentioned, I think at the last meeting, we are confirmed for a hearing on casinos that'll take place on March 19th at the Fountain House, which is located at 425 West 47th Street. This meeting is an opportunity for the community to voice your concerns, your opinions, your attitudes about casinos in the district. We will not be hearing from any of the proposals that are being recommended or proposed for our district. It is simply to hear from the community on the issue of casinos. And finally, a reminder that community board applications are open and due. If you were on the board, about half of you do need to reapply, and I think the deadline is tomorrow. So if you've not taken care of that, please do. And for anyone in the community or watching online or in person who's interested in applying, you can visit the Manhattan Borough President website and see where you can apply. And I know we have some students visiting here. Maybe perhaps they're interested. We welcome you and encourage you to learn more about community board membership. With that, we're going to move to committee business. And as mentioned, we are
Going to start with items, we're going to go from the bottom, starting with the exec letter item number 18. And as I mentioned at the beginning of my remarks, please keep your comments for those on the board succinct and direct, and remember that committee business should be done at committee, and that we're really working from the letters at this point. With that, I believe JD, I'm inviting you up to present on letter item number 18, and the next up will be Carrie, who will present on letter 19. And sorry, let me commend you all on an incredible job with this letter. I'm sure there are many comments, but it really is very, very thorough, and you've done tremendous work.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Can't wait to do it again. This is about the Port Authority replacement terminal project. This is something that's dreadfully called a team effort. If anybody says, let's do a team effort, refuse immediately. But I give credit to Christine and her committee, Jesse and Christine, their committee, Leslie and Marty, your committee, Paul, and the land use committee, and a number of people. I don't want to forget names here. Christine, Leslie, Marty, Paul, Joe. Joe was quite helpful. Rachel and Chris, are you there? And Ted and Sanford. Sanford, are you there? And Brian Weber. Everybody contributed, and there's going to be more contributions to this letter. We're on deadline. We had to do it very quickly. It's not perfect. We're going to add things. I'll just sum up the letter very quickly. Don't go to Midtown Manhattan in the next 10 years. That's my suggestion. And secondly, after 10 years, it's going to be quite something because of the efforts of the working group. Bert and his working group have done a marvelous job. We're going to have a rainforest on the roof of the new Port Authority terminal, and Betty McIntosh is going to be having her farm. It's going to be quite something. No, there's a lot that's been accomplished, but it's going to take a long time. So that's it. That's the letter. If you have any comments, keep them to yourself or tell Christine or Leslie. We'll get them.
So as a reminder for folks, we have only one mic. So JD is going to keep one mic. I'm going to just look around the room. Do folks over here have any comments, questions about the letter? We have a great letter. Comments, questions?
Marty wanted to add something.
Okay, we'll get to Marty. Let's do in person. Any comments or questions?
Wanted to add some
Okay.
things.
Just want to add something we learned today, that under the historic resources, specifically the FTA reached out under section 106, that the federal historic preservation, to get consulting parties, meaning the buildings that are affected by the construction. And because of an error in the DEIS, it did not reach out to everybody. So we want to make that note and give them a table to say, reach out to these people, and please postpone your meeting for Friday until you reach out to the full group of people affected.
Great. Thanks, Joe.
Any other comments on this? Okay. JD, thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam.
Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry, Marty I'm sorry, you said Marty had a question,
Late.
but does Marty have a question? Marty does not appear to have a question.
I sent JD a note and he said that he would incorporate my comments. So
Right, just so we know, Marty.
Great.
There's a statement in the document that says I wasn't ready for this, JD.
It's okay, it's about sewers. We're going to add sewers and runoff and stuff like that.
The idea is that New York City has combined stormwater sewer. A big project like this is an opportunity to separate at least a little parts of stormwater sewer and have the project direct sewage into the sewage system and stormwater into the river, into the Hudson River estuary. This is a very long endeavor because it's taken 100 years to get where we are. They started combining stormwaters and sewers in the late 1900s. I think our board should on regular occasions be looking at big projects and saying separate stormwater from sewer. And JD has agreed to put a comment in on this at a place that I indicated to him.
Great. Thank you, Marty.
Great.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Madam
Thank you, JD. Thank you all. We're going to move on now. This is to letter 19, which is the letter to NYCHA and HPD regarding the draft scope of work for Fulton, Elliot, Chelsea proposal. I want to again commend the work of Carrie Keenan here with Jeffrey LaFrancois and their committee and all of those many committees who came together for the purpose of contributing to this. And of course, Joe and his work on housing, and Maria. Carrie will let you walk us through the proposed letter.
Yes, thank you, Jessica. You stole my lead. This is a response to the draft scope of work to prepare a draft environmental impact study for the proposed Fulton and Elliot Chelsea houses redevelopment project, which is quite a title. We want to thank the Chelsea Land Use Committee members who contributed to this response excellently, as well as folks from WPE, ACES, Transportation, and HHHS. Also, other board members have sent friendly amendments, which we will adopt. So thank you for that. Some of them are in our inbox and we haven't had a chance to get back to you. Before I take any comments on this letter, I just want to say that this letter is our only opportunity to be on the record with what we want to see added to this study, in addition to the 4 alternatives proposed by the development team. So we took 22 pages to do just that, which is add to what they proposed to study, because we think that what they're proposing is not necessarily adequate and needs a whole lot of further investigation. So I guess we beat Clinton Hell's Kitchen land use by 1 page. Voting against this letter, which, we've had some discussion at committee, effectively means voting against the board being on record for this matter. It is not a vote for or against the project overall. It is only about this study. So we hope that everybody will, vote on this letter and for our strong, concerns and our request for alternative studies. With that, I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Carrie. So I'm going to do this again, starting in the room, and Josephine, and we'll just kind of pass the mic back in.
First of all, thank you so much to Carrie and to Jeffrey for this excellent letter, and especially for all your concerns, starting with the residents foremost. We are very concerned about their well-being and their future in this area. The only concern that I would like to add was mentioned in another meeting, and the fact that Related, I believe, is the only organization who has studied the conditions of these buildings, and they have everything to gain by this, of course. And so I'm wondering if we could add that no third party has looked at the conditions of this building, and I think that would be something we should really ask for. Thank you again.
Thank you, Josephine.
Hi, Carrie. This is Rachel Lee. Can you hear me okay?
Can.
Great. I was wondering in page 2, line 42, this is where it says MCB4 has been indicated a majority of respondents chose redevelopment and demolition. Was wondering if a clarification about that would be helpful to say only 30% of the residents responded to the survey and 60% of the respondents actually spoke in favor. So just to kind of provide that context instead of saying majority.
Right. I think if you keep reading down, I will check that for context, but I think if you keep reading down, it's basically saying that we do not have the actual results of the study, and that is what that's asking for. So that we're not necessarily taking at word that majority. But we can certainly look at the language there.
I think that's fine. I think just for that line item, because it says the results of that survey indicates a majority of respondents, thought a clarification right in that line item would be accurate. But if it's addressed elsewhere, that's fine too.
Thank you.
Thank you. And for those, just to clarify, Carrie, if I may, on your behalf, that we are asking for the survey results because we don't know that that's the case. So we'll be sure to make that, we can work together to make sure that that is clarified. We're going to keep going here for comments. Jeffrey, did you want to add anything? Okay. Any comments on the letter? Okay. We're going to move over here. See you guys. I'm going to just start from the back and kind of work our way up. Any comments on this letter? Do you have comments? Oh.
Just to note that we've talked about not reducing the number of NYCHA units here, but also to note not reducing the number of NYCHA square feet, because you can have the same number of unit but less square feet, and we want to keep every square foot we have. Just to put it somewhere in the letter, Carrie.
Yep, we took that friendly amendment. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we're going to go to David Warren.
Hi, thank you, Carrie, for your hard work, and the committee for the hard work. I am very concerned about the demolition. I'm against it, and I would maybe if we can add in that rather than a survey, if they can take a vote by a reputable voting agency to have all the residents vote on the demolition, because from the walking around that I've done in the NYCHA, it seems like they're not against, they're against the demolition, and the bones of the building seem strong. They're sturdy. Maybe inside the apartments might not be. I haven't been inside an apartment, but I certainly think that it should. It certainly should be. There should be taken a vote by the residents of NYCHA by a certified voting agency. The survey holds no weight in my mind, and that's what I'm concerned about. If you can elaborate more on what your interpretation of the demolitions are, I'd appreciate that also. Thank you.
Thanks, David.
All right, we're gonna ask everyone who's in attendance to please be quiet so we can hear from our board members. Viren.
Just very quickly, Joe just mentioned that we should actually know exact square feet of NYCHA development that we currently have, and the same should be sort of, any replacement that happens. My fundamental question is that instead of just asking for them to show us the survey, which the questions are not very sort of demanding in terms of letting people know that demolition is on the table. So I think we should request potentially, but they should conduct a brand new, just the way David was suggesting, brand new vote where people sign off on it so that we actually as a community feel much more comfortable. Plans can be beautiful, they will work, they might not work. We can comment on all of that, but I think to create a sort of community engagement, which is what our job is, I think that's something that we demand. And the second, other things that we already mentioned in the letter, which are fantastic, absolutely, but to give them 11 alternatives to look at is a way too much. I think we should, at some point, maybe not now, this letter is useful, it's going to do its job, but at some point, the community board should decide which option we really want them to look at. And that's my suggestion. Thank you.
Thanks, Viren.
Okay, we're gonna do Christine. Just saying.
I agree with David and somewhat Viren. I think the survey is not a good base for going forward. So having the result of the survey, if the survey was not taken properly, is not going to get us anywhere. So asking for a new vote or a new survey is what would bring us back to reality, in a sense.
Thanks, Christine.
Thank you, Christine. Now we'll go to Bert, and then it looks like we're going to go online.
Yeah, I would take a new vote from the residents only after we have all the alternatives. Because it's not just an A or a B. We're talking about, the letter speaks about, I think, 7 or 8 possible alternatives. And I would want to see where we end up with those. And then we have a vote.
Thank you, Bert. We're now going to go online. I think we have everyone in the room. So Carrie, if you want to call it out online, but I'm going to again ask for everyone in person to please be quiet so we can hear folks online. Carrie?
Betty, then Mike Noble, then Chris.
Yes, thank you. And the letter is beautifully written. I really appreciate that. And I also was going to say that there should be a certified voting organization that administers a vote with the residents of these complexes. And in Penn South, across the street from them, we have for years used certified voting organization for all our major voting. So it's not like it's too bizarre or anything. It's very, very good. And I agree that we should, and there are some 11 options or alternatives in the letter, and that is, I think we need to boil it down somehow to 4 or 5 options and clearly describe so people know what they're voting for, or maybe even less options. And I was scratching my head to wonder if the letter says these 10 or 11 options, alternatives, if that is something that the applicant is bound to address all those alternatives, or is that, can they just ignore some of them? That's a question.
Yeah, I mean, our understanding is they're bound to consider them. They're not bound to address them. So
sort of in between. Okay, well, thanks.
Okay, we'll move on to Chris.
Oh, sorry, Mike Noble, then Chris.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, let Chris go first, please.
Mike, by all means, I have a list and you're a tenant. Go ahead.
Chris, go ahead.
Thank you. Look, regarding this, it's having studied the London model, what's proceeded over the last 2-3 years lacks transparency. And the London model that we originally cited in the working group had all the transparency in the world. David Warren's right. Betty McIntosh is right. We do need a third party vendor to do an appropriate certified vote on this matter. I cannot, in good faith, even consider demolition of either campus. Lastly, I'm getting a lot of feedback from microphones right now.
Everyone needs to be quiet in the room. They can hear everything online. Thank you.
So I still have family all across the NYCHA portfolio, and I've spent many nights there as a child and even as an adult being a caretaker for my now deceased grandmother. And one of the things that strikes me is that in other models that are similar to the Section 9 and Section 8 switch, we usually ask, with residents usually asking, governments usually ask for expansion of square footage for living situations. Having worked with NYCHA in the past, we know that families live multiple generations to an apartment. That means that there are grandmothers living with their children and living with their grandchildren. We should be expanding the NYCHA portfolio from Section 9 to Section 8 switch to ensure that those families don't get lost in a scuffle, especially if right now they're not guaranteed the same amount of square footage in any new development here. We really need to press that. With 10,000 people on hold for our NYCHA apartment now, Community Board 4 should be the first to address and ask to expand so that way that list shortens over time. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Mike? Mike Noble? I think you're on there you go.
Yeah, I just, okay, well, thanks. The square footage thing is something new to me. Thanks for bringing it up. I endorse that thought. With respect to the survey, you know, I told you a long time ago, I didn't think it was legally required to start with. But in as much as it's such a hot button item and everybody's so concerned about it, let me just suggest to you that the reason why Citizens Housing hasn't revealed the results is because I don't think they want to reveal how people voted. I don't know what you're looking for in terms of the results of the survey, but it doesn't mean anything unless you've got names and addresses and all that business. And I sure as hell don't want people to know how I might have voted or my neighbor voted or anything like that. Okay, that's a concern. So if you're thinking about anonymous votes, yeah, look at it that way. Okay, if you present it to Citizens Housing,
Mike. It's not,
You have?
yeah,
Okay, anonymous votes, yeah? Good.
yeah.
Well, good, fine. So, is that how it's, I don't remember how the document asks for it, but
That's how we've
let's
been
make it
asking.
clear.
Yes, that's how we've been asking for in
It's that way
our-
in the
in our
the
group.
draft scope. Is that how you ask for it?
So it's not in
Yeah,
the draft
yes.
scope. So it's not addressed. in the
That's right.
scope, right. So this is
It's in
just
the letter. It's in the
purely
letter.
extra stuff that we're
Sep-
putting forward that
Oh,
we
yeah,
really
yeah, yeah,
need to
yeah.
know,
Okay,
right? Yeah.
okay.
Taking
Well, I got
everything
immersed in
we
that.
do to try to get the information that we can't seem to get.
I got you. Okay, so I got immersed in that draft scope and forgot about the separate letter. Okay,
Yeah.
super.
We've had
So
multiple
long as you
already.
frame it as anonymous, yeah, fine. I'm all for that.
Thanks.
Okay, super. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Carrie. Thank you, Mike. That reflects all of the comments and on this letter. So thank you, Carrie, very much. And thank you to Chelsea Land Use for your work on this. Sorry, yes. Sorry. Sorry, the question.
A separate survey?
So Carrie, the question here is that the comments that were just referenced in terms of the desire for an additional survey of the residents after determinations of the options, can that be included in the letter?
I think so. Why not? We're asking for a lot. So yes.
So, I mean, we can define, I know maybe you can't hear, I'm not sure, but the questions are, is it a vote versus a survey? But I think what we're saying is like a mechanism by which to collect information on behalf of all of the residents who reside and making sure.
And I think by a certified voting organization is important,
Okay.
right? That's really.
As a reminder, this is just a letter for the draft scope of work, and the work of what the things that the committee will continue to ask for is also like, this is valuable for ensuring that continues to be lifted up and move forward. But specifically for the draft scope of work, I'm seeing Carrie nodding. So yes. Okay, we are now gonna move on back to the top of our agenda, which was item number 1. And thank you, our friends and hosts here at Hudson River Park for your patience. I'm sure you're eager to hear this topic. I'll invite Leslie. Are you presenting on this topic? Okay. Okay, so we're inviting Lowell up to present on item number 1.
We finally get to the top. WPE finally gets to the top and you push us down again. The letter is pretty much self-explanatory, but I want to make 3 points. First, that we are not approving anything by this letter. All we are doing is asking the state legislature to open up the Hudson River Park Act to let the trust explore. And that's all we're doing by this letter. So there are specific things that we want, we don't want, but we're not addressing them in this letter. The other 2 points are 2 friendly amendments. We are going to attach the statement of need, the statement of principles and the what was the other document, Robert? Statement of need and statement of principles are going to be attached to the letter as an addendum. And we are going to add one more requirement that if commercial use is made of Pier, of the Pier 76, that we mandate that transportation be looked at as in how whatever goes into the Pier affects transportation. That point's not written yet, so that's why I'm stumbling over it. But we'll get something in there to make sure we don't interfere with either 12th Avenue or the Greenway. Questions? Yeah. Well, I'll take it over and we can road trip.
Full service board here. On letter number 1, I did have 3 questions. That's okay? Okay. So I understand it's asking that the trust be allowed to explore, but the committee is taking a bit of position, in my opinion, because it's saying it's endorsing and asking for adoption of the following positions. And I was wondering in paragraph 2A, residential uses, why does residential use continue to be prohibited when we're in a housing crisis? Just curious. And And also when commercial use is actually being given a lot of deference in the bottom of the letter.
Okay. Lowell, do you want to take the mic back so that folks online can hear you?
There is a long history about not allowing any residential use on any of the piers. It was voted down by CB2 for Pier 40 many, many years ago. There is a concern about the privatization of the piers in general, that we allow any commercial use in there at all. To allow it to be luxury high rises, which is what you would end up with, is more privatization of the waterfront that belongs to all of us. So that's the easiest answer. I could go on for another 2 hours about it, but I think that one covers it.
Thank you. And go ahead.
There actually is one other answer, is that the commercial use, if it was residential, would not, thank you, would not bring in the required money to upkeep. Like it wasn't commercially viable. The commercial use has to have the money to maintain the park, and the task force cut off that item immediately.
Thank you for the succinct answers. On the commercial / hotel uses, which the letter provides for, it says that the commercial hotel uses will continue to be prohibited, but it contemplates a commercial use in paragraph 5. So just wanted to hear the committee's rationale a bit more, because these seem to be a little bit contradictory.
What we're saying in paragraph 5 is that we would allow the act to be opened up to allow the potential for a hotel so it could be explored. There was a chief of staff of a former legislator who was very much in favor of a hotel. Yeah. But the committee really wasn't in favor of it, but we're saying open up the act, let them explore. If a hotel will pay the bills, we wanted to allow that option to exist.
Last question. Thank you very much. Understand that the letter speaks against any decrease in the current park space. Was wondering if there was discussion about what might happen to the events currently that have been taking place. So, for example, there are free public events for salsa dancing or a lot of cultural art gallery events. And especially these are very popular during the summertime.
Well, we're happy that those events, you see those events as popular, because that used to be a tow pound. It would be up to the trust how they program it, but keep in mind that is a very large pier, and with 50% of it being minimum of 50% required to be open space, there will still be room for events. I don't think you'd get something, correct me if I'm wrong, Robert, I don't think the Food and Wine Festival would be able to make use of the 50%. I don't know how much space they take up, they need too much space, but there would still be events like the Blues Barbecue would probably be able to fit there. Or other events like that. So there is still a lot of room for the trust to program events there, as they do throughout the rest of the park.
And Lowell, I'll just add to that comment that the importance that I think, Rachel, they were really trying to emphasize is that the vast majority of the space remain open to the public. And when those events, while they are wonderful to happen, they are typically ticketed, and we wanted to preserve as much space as possible. Questions over here? We got a second mic going, so.
Just a very quick thing. I mean, hotel is a kind of housing too, and it's sort of done in a different way. It collects money in different ways. So I would be very, very careful about sort of making distinction between non-residential, but allowing hotels at the same time. The other sort of suggestion that I would make, and Lowell, you know better than anybody else does, I did a whole studio on Pier 76 with my students. There's a bunch of other things that trust can do to make money, to generate revenues. And I think one of the sort of suggestions that I have is sharing economy provides amazing models for co-working spaces, co-living spaces, temporary emergency housing kind of needs to be addressed. There's a lot of different ways in which it can be done. So I think we should somehow keep something open, but that conversation doesn't die, because there's so much more that's happening in New York City. Brooklyn Navy Yards is a great example. Industry City is another example, which is sort of failing a little bit. Long Island City is doing a lot. So there are many, many different versions. We are sitting on Pier 57. This was meant to be a food market, which it is not, but at least this entire sort of ground floor is opened up for public. So looking at more mixed scenarios would be actually very beneficial, because it's a very, very large pier that we have.
Don't disagree with you at all, but at this point where we are in the process, simply having the act amended to allow commercial uses would open up that possibility. We didn't get into any of what we'd really like to see there. We didn't have the parade of little leaguers and soccer players in their uniforms arguing for field space. So we're not at that point yet. All we need to do is have the act opened up so we can allow commercial to look into all of the things you're talking about, Mayor.
Great. David?
Recognizing that there's even office space in this building, it was pre-existing interior space. What we're talking about is changing the act to allow construction of new and closed office space or hotel space west of the highway within the park. Is that correct?
That's what we're talking about, but we're not, David, you know this as well as anyone, we have not taken a position on that. All we're saying is open up the act, let the trust brainstorm, see what they come up with and come back to us. And quite frankly, if it sucks, we'll kill it.
Well, I can't support it. I mean, we're looking down the line too. We're talking about changing the law.
Thank you. There's Chris, and then I'd like to make a comment at the end, but Chris, go ahead.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so I had voted to push this forward to full board, but I have extreme hesitations about any language regarding hotel, specifically because a hotel model that would be viable on that pier would be a luxury hotel. It's no different than luxury housing being approved to be built on that area. We are privatizing that area if we allow a luxury hotel developer to take in, even to allow the synthesis of thought within the state and within the Hudson River Park Trust to consider a hotel is essentially us saying, yes, it's okay to privatize a good portion of the pier. And a hotel, as I've learned throughout my time here, would require and would want some sort of grand New York experience, like being able to drive up to it. And one of the things that we try to do on this committee and what we're trying to limit at this park is car traffic. So I think it goes counter to the mission that we've been driving for decades with the development of this pier. Thank you.
Chris, as you may remember, we had a vote on the hotel and the committee was in favor of it, opening up the act to explore the possibility of a hotel. It was
I do remember it. I voted no on that.
It was a contested vote, and that's why it's listed the way it is in the letter, that it's, not a preferred alternative, but it was the subject of a committee vote, and that's why it's in there.
Thank you, Lowell. And I just want to add for those, maybe again, encourage everyone to look at the letter and the origins of the letter, but in large part, this is related to the needed financing of the pier. There will likely be no pier if there is not something on the facility that can generate revenue. So that is really a significant motivation of this effort right now. And thank you to WPE for taking that up. Josephine, we're going to go to WPE and then of course to BLP. Oh, sorry.
Hello, I am presenting letter number 2, which is basically lowering the voting age for New York state elections and local elections to include 16 and 17-year-olds. And we based our support due to the fact that 16 and 17-year-olds are legally able to drive with a learning permit. They work, they pay taxes, and yet they have no say in how to keep their school safe or climate change, which quite honestly is going to affect them more than it is going to affect most of us in this room. Also, how are they going to live in the city once they get out of high school or college? So we felt that it was very important to give young people a voice and that it's time and to support them. Are there any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to separate out BLP item 8, which the applicant and his lawyer spoke about during the public session. But first, are there any questions about items 3 through 7 and 9 through 11? Okay. Item 8, the open issue basically has to do with whether the bar restaurant is adequately ventilated And I'd like to turn this over to Christine because she actually visited the premises on yesterday.
So this location has been very problematic for the last 10 years. We have had a lot of different 506 9th Avenue, lots of successive operators. And one of the complaints that the residents have done all the time was that the exhaust is going into the shaft between the two buildings, and that shaft is supposed to be reserved for the you know, giving some air to some of the rooms. And so I went to see whether, oh, and also that there is a lot of noise. That vent is doing, that fan is very noisy. So I went to inspect. So essentially there is a plank, a wooden plank, and the fan is on the wooden plank right under the windows of the residents. And so this is something that should have been fixed many years ago. And I think this is a perfect opportunity to put the pressure on the landlord to fix it and bring the exhaust to the roof. And I think that we should, I mean, you know, I would do a counter proposal or whatever we call that, is that we table that letter until next month, and we ask them to come back with a contract to fix that problem once for all, because really the residents have been suffering tremendously for that. Right.
And I would add, the applicant would have to agree to that. So if they don't agree, I think the alternate would be that we recommend denial because of these ventilation problems.
Yes.
Christine, thank you for going there. I spoke on this so many years ago when this was first put in, and I gave the citation to the board on the housing maintenance code. And ventilation duct is not permitted in an air shaft by code, period. And the fan must be mounted at a certain location, distant from windows. So I will dig that up again and provide it to the board because it is not a permitted obstruction, and it is an absolute problem for tenants in that building.
There are some other questions here, but am I clear, Christine, you have not made a motion to table this, or you?
Table and I'm sorry, the motion was to table, and with the backup that if the applicant doesn't agree to the tabling, we would outright deny. Right.
So there's a second to the motion. And so now are there, okay, yep. Thank you, Frank.
So Frank, since you gave that alternative, the question is what's the timing on this application? Is there some type of pressure that if we don't respond and we ask them to come back and they say no and they apply anyway?
Well, we'll ask them tomorrow and we'll ask for an immediate answer. They've been alerted to the issue. If they don't come back, we will submit our denial letter, you know, within a couple of days. They won't have to come back here.
Well, but tabling is different from, yeah, so that's why I asked the question, because if we wanted to deny unless, that's a very different thing. From
No, so what Frank is, what Christine has made, the motion that Christine is making is a two-parter, okay? One is that we're tabling it, okay? But with the idea that and I'm sorry, let me rephrase that, going back to committee. If the applicant does not agree to go back to committee, then the committee will deny it, and that will go ahead. So what we're voting on tonight is if the applicant does not agree to come back to committee tomorrow, we're doing a straight out denial. So it's a change from deny unless to just a straight denial. And if we're all comfortable with that, then that's what we're doing.
Yes. I just have a question on the motion.
It will, yeah, yes.
I'm sorry, one question.
Yep.
Is there validity in what the applicant said but he doesn't control the venting? So if he comes back tomorrow, isn't that a landlord thing? That's what I'm just confused about. Like if they come back tomorrow, but he doesn't control the venting.
Well, he doesn't control it, but when he rents, he leases the premises, they have to be compliant. So he can't say, I'm not paying the rent until it's fixed. So, you know?
I'm happy with a hand vote if everybody else is okay with a hand vote, unless there's someone that feels different.
Just 2 points with this. One is that however we do it, we want to give this code citation to help the SLA understand why. Yeah. And the second part is I have a lot of restaurants and buildings that we own. You normally give that responsibility to the renter, and then it's a deduction from the rent. That's how it's done. So the idea that someone says, I have no responsibility for this is not how business is done with restaurants in the city of New York.
All right, so we have a motion. I'm sorry. We have a motion and we have a second. If everybody is okay, we're going to do a hand vote. What we're doing is we're replacing the existing deny unless a letter with what was just raised by Christine as a motion and seconded by Inga. Anybody have any more questions on that as a process? So when you vote for it, you'll be voting yes if you agree with the motion that Christine has raised. Make sense? Okay. Everybody for that motion?
Aye.
That's easy.
Line, keep your hands up, please.
That's easy. Okay, I got that vote. You tricked me, Jackie.
We lost.
And okay, any no's? Oh, no.
One.
Betty, is
you're
that a
voting?
no? No, that was a yes, right? You were just said it before. Okay, abstaining. Abstaining and P&E. Okay, no P&E. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, BLP. We're now going to move on to Housing, Health, and Human Services, a letter regarding NYCHA. I'm not sure if Joe or Maria, but please come on down. Yeah, please come up.
HHHS had a presentation by NYCHA regarding security and interim repairs, meaning pest control also. And they presented to us and we gave a very specific response back. They started the work already, but it was a lack of accountability on both processes. So the letter is about adding more conditions for them to have adequate security initially and adequate pest control. Any questions?
Great, so we'll do, any questions over here? No questions over here? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Transportation? Are you, Christine? Great.
So you have the 3 letters. Are there any question? No questions.
Okay, thank you. Great job. And cannabis, Jesse?
Hi, everybody. We had 3 dispensary applicants. We voted in favor of one. We voted to deny the other, and we split on the third, which is our new business item that we will get to soon. Does anyone have any questions on the first 2 items, the vote of approval or the votes of denial? Lovely.
Any questions?
Yep.
Okay.
Seeing no questions. Thank you
Great.
very much.
Thank you, Jesse. Thank you for your service as chair of the Cannabis Task Force. We're now going to move to the new chair of the Cannabis Task Force, but for today, Dolores is introducing the new business item.
Yes, I came highly recommended for the role.
But
No, hi was the joke. Jesse must be tired. He didn't get that. Okay, so there were a lot of comments in public session about this particular item. So this is coming as new business because we were split in committee. So I'm going to very briefly explain why we were split. This is exactly the type of applicant that we do want running a legal dispensary. Why? They've been very engaged with the process about legalization. They understand the law. They even have partnered with folks that are opening dispensaries in the state of New Jersey and going through that process as we speak. So why was it split? 1 second, Inga, I'm just doing the explanation. Why was it split? It was split because of the fact that this particular location, which is the whole point of why we are opining at all on any of these applications, this location's problematic. It was brought up before in public session that we had already, through this task force, approved something that is very close. That is true. Not that conditions have changed, but we do recognize it is a little bit different on the avenue for this particular place. But most importantly, one of the things we wanted to point out is because this is an applicant that we would support in being able to bring forth a good business in legal cannabis, we want them to succeed. This location is not a location that we think that they could succeed for the various reasons listed in the letter. So I just wanted to give that background. This was not about flipping a coin. We did not like this person or we did like this person. It was about the location and wanting it to succeed, as we have pointed out that we recognize that the illegal shops have created many, many difficulties for these businesses to actually thrive. And we find that this particular location, because of the saturation, is going to create some problems. And that was why we ended up being split. So with that background, Inga.
You just said it much more clearly. I was at the meeting listening, well debated. I agree with the letter, but it's not clear. Your last two paragraphs are kind of muddled. I know what you want to say because I was at the meeting. What you just said there was very clear. We want the applicant in a different location to succeed. This location is not good. And those reasons.
Got it. So the point is that there's needs more clarity in terms of that explanation. And I will take full responsibility of having written it like, I don't know, 1 a.m. or something like that. So I'll just listen to the tape.
Yes.
So someone in the comments said that this operator had an illicit operation before.
No, that's not this
one. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was the one that we already.
Take the mic.
Just denied.
Sorry, could you repeat what you
So
said?
the question was about if someone in the public session had mentioned that there was already an illegal legal weed shop in that location. That was the Magic Tree, which we've already gone through that and we'll be voting on as a full board.
Thank you. Well,
I've been thinking a lot about this issue, and the analogy that came to mind was Napster. There was illegal file sharing all over the internet a long, long time ago for you young people. And what eventually killed the illegal file sharing was the iTunes store, when you had a legal alternative. My son, who happens to be a consumer of large amounts of cannabis, has told me he will not shop in the illegal stores anymore because there's now a legal alternative. And I think approving all of the good owners will help drive out the illegal shops.
Great point. So I'm going to pass it over to Jesse G, who that was essentially the part of the split vote.
Yes. So everybody, hi friends. So strangely, I am representing the other half of the split vote on this, which was recognizing that the main reason, as Dolores has so articulately said, for the split was because this location happened to have a particularly high density of illegal operators. And I thought it was important that we remain consistent with the messages that we have been, the votes that we've been taking thus far, which is to hold the legal operators separately from the illegal operators, to not punish the legal operators for the offenses of the illegal operators, but also recognizing, and as we did in a letter that we passed last month, we said that there are 3 prongs to dealing with the illegal weed shop problem. The number 1 is enforcement, number 2, education, and number 3 is getting legal weed stores open to compete. So I want to be consistent, and I do not think that it is fair to this operator, to this applicant, that they should be penalized just because there happen to be a number of illegal shops in that area. In fact, I think they are incentivized to work extra hard to get those shops closed down on their block. And that is why I came the other way. Questions?
It's not working.
Hello, we were talking about new business. Which item are we talking about?
20.
So that was the item that a number of people spoke against. Is that correct?
They spoke in favor of that item, meaning the item 20 is a vote to deny the applicant.
Gotcha. Thank you.
So, I think we had a very fair, wait, one second, Joe. I think we had a very fair conversation at committee, but what I wanted to point out here is what we're trying to get in the letter, and thank you, Inga, for pointing out it's not as crisp, is not the point that you're making, Jesse. The point is that we do want this particular operator to succeed, and the location may be problematic for them to succeed. So I don't think we're inconsistent in saying that we're denying. It's not punishing this particular applicant. This is more thinking more thoughtfully about, you're exactly the applicant that could succeed. This location is not it. So I just wanted to clarify that because, again, I think you're right. My language wasn't crisp. Might have been the add-ons that Jesse B provided for me. No, but I'm going to go down here to Joe. Yes, Joe's been waiting.
I got it. So first, I just would like us to add and note that the board did approve the license across the street, 328 feet away. So it's noted just for record. And that Metro Baptist is 384 feet away, just for record, because we know what the law says, but we're trying to get the law to be applied in the same way. And then I want to respond to Lowell front and center. First of all, majority of New Yorkers have no idea that the shops that are open are not licensed. They believe they are licensed. And what I will tell you is my partner and attorney for legal aid truly believed this until last week when he watched this meeting. All right. So I think your son is an outlier in this, and it is across the nation, opening legal shops does not close illegal shops without enforcement because they're not able to compete. There are no taxes being paid on the cannabis. They will always win. So that's not a real issue.
Yeah, yeah,
So-
right.
Yeah, can we clarify what this letter says? This letter says deny, right? Okay.
But we like this app.
But we're just.
Is it a letter to deny?
I just want to say when we say yes or no.
And
what-
as Jesse just reminded us, we are not doing committee work here. We're really talking about this letter.
Yeah, I just would like a question, and you might have an answer, you might not. You're basically saying, you're great, we love you, but find another place to operate. And what was the applicant's reaction to that?
They essentially thanked us. And it wasn't an issue where they wanted to argue the point. Sanford, you don't recall that they were arguing, it was more that they were just thankful. And they said they want to work with the community.
We should.
When we talked to the applicant, they saw that it was a split vote and it was inconclusive how it was going to go. So I don't think they were in a position to give us we will or we won't work with you on this because they just didn't know what the outcome was going to be at full board.
Thank you. And one question down here, and then let's just make sure we're keeping it to the letter as it's.
I have a question and an observation. Go to the person you're identifying, then come to me, please.
Sure. So what I'd like to add is that I thought from our conversation on the task force that they would come and make their case tonight. That's what I was hoping for. Ideally, I would have loved to have them make the case for the full board.
We did invite them to come.
Thank you, Rodney. Marty,
I
know
have
he was
I
motioning.
have a
Marty had
question.
something online.
I have a question and an observation. The question is, Dolores, is the site unsuitable because of the illegal shops around it, or is there another reason?
I'm sorry. There's a question to you, Dolores, from Marty.
Sorry, Marty, I didn't pay any attention to you. Can you repeat?
What else is new?
I know, sorry.
Is the site unacceptable because of the illegal shops around it, or is there another reason?
So we did cite several reasons. Joe had just mentioned in the room that he wanted to specifically mention that it's Metro Baptist Church that is close by. We will, and we did note that by the actual mandate of OCM, that it is in the legal boundary where they can open up a shop. But again, that's specific, actually adding up the feet. What we're saying is it's very close and there is daycare. The other thing which is not something that we put in the letter, but it did come up in discussion is, we don't normally opine on businesses that are existing, but there is an existing business there. It's a laundromat. And so that is something that I think did take up a lot of discussion in committee, not in the letter, but what we cited specifically were reasons that were consistent with a lot of our other letters, was the location, having the multiple numbers of illegal shops in the vicinity, being close to a house of worship with also children activities close by. And also we noted the illicit drug activity that occurs in that area and the high traffic of other illegal activities that have been happening in that on that corner of 40th and 9th.
So my observation is that both the illegal activity and the illegal shops are enforceable. And the observation is that the letter doesn't reflect the conversation I just heard. A more complex letter would include all of that in it, which would be a deny unless kind of thing with all the items like enforcement, deny unless there's enforcement, etc. The conversation was a rich conversation about this site. The letter doesn't reflect it.
True. And that was based on the committee conversation, which actually had a split. And the motion that was on the table at committee was to deny outright. And so we had an actual split vote, 2 for, 2 against, and 1
We are
abstain.
going to need to wrap this. Sorry.
You got to ask.
So,
You got to. Jeffrey wants to go home.
okay,
You're going
So
to have to clarify what we're voting on.
David, if you're adding something, but we really do, like, we're at the.
Regarding the proposed dispensary at 10th Avenue, there's another one at right about at 19th Street and 9th Avenue. There's another one on 9th Avenue between 19th and 20th. Are those illegal? Okay, thank you.
Okay, we are going to move on now. And wait, I think I just saw, did I just see? Oh, yes, please. We're going to thank you all for working through these items. We're now going to move to our volunteer secretary.
On this
to take us
last
on.
item, what are we voting on this last item that was talked about?
Marty, you're voting on the letter that is in your packet. That is a denial of the location with support of the applicant.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, everyone. Good evening. I'm Alice Wong. I am your acting recording secretary this evening. Because of time restraints, I'm going to ask you to speak loudly and to speak slowly so I can hear your vote. Teddy, are you here or online?
I don't think we voted on 19, did we?
Okay, Teddy's not here.
Right. Mike, we are now voting on all of the letters.
Okay.
We're voting on all letters right now.
Real good, real good, real good.
Manhan. Thank you. She said yes to all. Roberta. Yes to all, no on 20. Thank you, Christine. Yes to all, no on 2 and 20. Gwen. Gwen, are you here? Okay. Leslie. Abstain on 17, yes to all. Varen. No on 1, no on 20, yes to all. Wilson. Not here. Jessica, oh, skip. Lisa. Okay. Marty.
Yes to all.
Thank you, Paul. No to 20, yes to the rest. Tina D. Yes to all. Pete D. Pete. No to 20, yes to all. Wendy. I don't think she's here, right? Wendy? No. Okay. Matt. Not here. Jesse G. No to 20, yes to the rest. Okay. Candace. Is she here? 1 abstain, 20 present, not eligible. Yes to the rest. David? No to 1, no to 17, yes to the rest. Frank? Yes to all. Josephine? Yes to all. Inga? No to 1 and 20, yes to Yes to the rest. Yes to the rest. Hello, hello. Hello. Okay, okay. I didn't hear Carrie's vote. So should I hear, all right, Lowell?
15, no on 20, yes to the rest.
No, no, 15 and 20, yes to the rest. Raul?
15 on 15, no on 20, yes to the rest.
He and E on 15, no on 20, yes to the rest.
Hold on one second. Hey, everyone online, we've just lost our connection. I think you still can hear us, right?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear. We
I
can
can hear
Alex
you.
better with the microphone.
We can.
I can't hear you.
We can hear you.
We can hear you. Okay. I can hear you now. Okay. Go on, Alice.
Raul, did you say no to 20, abstain on 15? I mean, P and E on 15 and a yes to the rest?
Yes.
All right. Bert?
Yes, sir.
Yes to all. Christopher?
I'm voting no on 20, no on 1, and yes to the rest.
No on 1, no on 20, yes to the rest. Rachel?
No to 1 and 20, yes to the rest.
No on 1 and 20, yes to the rest. Jeffrey?
I have a complicated vote sheet, Madam Secretary. I apologize. I am present, not eligible on items 1, 12, 13, and 19. I'm a no on 20 and yes to the rest.
No on 20, P and E on 1, 12, 13, 19, yes to the rest. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Betty?
Yes to all.
Yes to all. Sanford?
Yes to all.
Yes. No on 20, yes to all. Greg? Abstain on 2 and 13, yes to the rest. Tina? Tina Nelson? No, she's not here. Mike?
Yes to all, no on 2 and 20.
No on 2 and 20, yes to all. JD?
No on 2, no on 20.
No on 2 and 20, yes to the rest. Maria? Yes to all. Alan?
Yes to all.
Yes to all. Brad? Not here. Not here. Joe? No on 2, yes to the rest. Dolores? Yes to all. Katie's not here. Todd? Oh, I mean,
No, that's fine. No on 20 and yes to the rest.
No on 20, yes to the rest. Hector?
Hector's not here.
David?
David Warren.
David? You?
On 1, yay, 2 through 19, no on 20.
Okay. So abstain on 1, no on 20, yes to the rest. Okay. Rodney?
Yes to all.
Yes to all. Carrie?
Yes to all.
Yes to all. Me. Okay. I am no on 2 and 17, yes to the rest.
Christine has to
And
change her.
then Christine? Press 1, your P and E on the number 1. Okay, and then yes to all. Yes to all for Jessica. Okay. Anything else? We're good.
No.
Submitted.
So, thank you. Thank you for stepping in again. So for those who are following, we have not yet heard from our electeds, and we have some who have stayed in the room and some who have remained online. So I'm going to ask, but we also don't have mics. So this is exceptionally problematic. But I'm just going to call on, we have Ben representing Assemblymember Tony Simone. We have Yiyi here representing Manhattan Borough President, but Yiyi, people aren't going to be able to hear you. And we have Evelyn representing the comptroller online. So our online folks, we
we've brought you over, we can bring you over. We're gonna bring you over and you can let us know, but I would highly recommend that we find a new way to get here up to you. Ben, did you want to speak? You're good. Great. Sorry about this. Thank you. We have not had a motion to adjourn, so I'm gonna ask that not everyone leave. Sorry, just 1 second.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, can I?
Elected folks, we have no mics.
Second, that motion.
Thank you for your patience and apologies. Apologies for our guests online. This is what happens in hybrid. Thank you for your patience. We had a motion to adjourn. Have a good night. Robert.
Yeah,
Thank you.
No, I
forgot to include you in my thank yous.